Hey there, cats and kitties. I'm the Blues Man, Johnny Blues, and with this video, we're discussing my thoughts on episode 2 of the Doctor Who spin-off series, Class, the Coach with the Dragon Tattoo. Pretty interesting title, I have to say. Guest featuring, of course, Coach Discount Scottish Michael Fassbender with the titular dragon tattoo. There'll be dragons here, apparently, and they're taking over Coal Hill Academy. Yeah, I could have probably done with without, I should say, the coach's bare buttocks. Was that really necessary? And it really led me to, I mean, I was getting used to the language, and I'd seen the preview for the episode tacked on to the first episode, so I knew there'd be gore. But I mean, nudity too, like really, didn't really need it. But in any case, that's really the only qualm I had with this particular episode. I thought the performances were all on par. Of course, I'm calling him Discount Michael Fassbender, but I thought the coach was pretty enigmatic and fearsome. He was a mean Gus, and I loved the characterization that was permeating the episode with Ram. Again, Ram was a character in the first episode that I thoroughly thought was all kinds of badass, and he's got such a realistic approach, the character and the portrayal of the character in grieving and dealing with that, the aspect of anger and denial. I mean, he thinks he's going through PTSD. He thinks he's going crazy, seeing things that he's not sure if it's there or not, and very much dealing, as I say, with dragons. There be two. There be the tattoo dragon, and then there be the other one who's coming through this rift, the bunghole in space, as they've dubbed it. And I love the characters coming together. I love that they're realistically coming together, and that not everybody wants to play ball from right off the bat. Especially Ram. I mean, there are so many great things going on in this episode to do with Ram, his father, who it may or may not be just loosely, because the actor who plays Ram's father kind of reminds me of my own dad. They kind of looked similar. Like calling back to the relationship I had with my dad before his passing, and the whole idea of a father in support. I mean, very much is Ram on an evolutionary, cycle in this episode. He's having to really come to terms with what he's witnessed. His girlfriend's brutal murder at the hands of the Shadowkin. And, he's basically got Tanya, who is his closest thing to a confidant, not pushing him because she can relate. She lost her own father. And as she relates to him, it was a process of taking one's time, taking it one step at a time, and not pushing each other when it came to her and her relationship with her brothers, to bring the father up until they were ready, until it felt okay to talk about it again. And that's something we all go through. And Ram's really going through that process on his own. He's trying to sort of keep away from everybody through the large majority of the episode. And finally, he does sort of come face to face with it in this travesty that's going on, with people being literally skinned alive and eaten. Poor Mr. Armitage. I felt so bad for that guy. I actually really liked him. He was a really nice, likable sort of head teacher kind of character, kind of teacher slash counselor. At least that's the way he seemed to embody his role dealing with the students. Fortunately, the guy's gone. That sucks, but I really loved that in the process of this, Ram, he was almost suicidal, I guess you could say, because he did challenge the dragon by the end of the episode: either eat me or eat the coach. You're never going to get your girlfriend back, as we find it's two mates, these two dragon mates, which it's just really kind of interesting to me that one could not live without the other. But unfortunately, the female of the two, through some quirk of fate, in traversing the bunghole through space, this rift, this chasm through space and time, had become attached to this guy's body. So basically, Ram's getting all up in this dragon space, saying, are you going to continue to live this way forever, or are you going to accept what the new status quo is? Are you going to make the best life you can, with the way the situation is? And I love that, because it really is the pinnacle of the journey he's on. And in the aftermath, once everything's said and done, once Dragon King takes out Mr. Coach, I love the falling back on Tanya that Ram, basically does. I mean, he keeps asking her, "You're not going to try to force me to talk about her, his girlfriend." And I love that. I love that she's keeping her distance, but she's still there for him. The camaraderie, the companionship, for lack of a better term, not in a romantic sense, but in a friendship and supporting sense. I love that dynamic between them. But what I loved even more was that it was the bridge, the stepping stones, along the lines of his going home, and he's trying to kick the football again, the soccer ball, as it would be called in the States. And the relationship, the rapport with his father, it seemed like it was going to be, much as we saw in the first episode, that there'd be an adversarial, antagonistic relationship. And that's arguably the case with some of the characters with their parents, most notably Tanya, whose mother is insane. she would ground God, apparently, for going out late and going out with boys and hanging out with friends rather than working and all that kind of stuff. And Tanya can hack Unit, or was trying. Okay. But, I like that we had another sort of evolutionary stint in the relationship dynamic between Ram and his father. It just really heartened me to see Ram revealing what had happened with the loss of his leg, with the creatures, with the death of his girlfriend. And the father, he takes it in stride. He takes it pretty well, considering how outlandish all of this stuff sounds. So, I love the growth between them. That support, that love of family, that familial support. It just really heartened me for this episode. The entire journey, the quest that Ram was on. And we see, in sort of contrast to that, just a fleeting glimpse of the fact that April's own father was apparently trying to call her. And obviously there's some kind of, bad news going on there, probably as a result of April's mother's accident. And they're estranged, it seems like. At least that's the impression I get with, the little amount of information we have thus far on April and her family. But, we're seeing all these characters coming together for the most part in the face of adversity once again, and it's only going to escalate, it seems, with the weird, preview for the next episode, which is like, I've seen enough hentai to know where this is going, with the squid tentacles and everything. And then, no, if you're wondering, we're not going to ask about the robot Miss Quill. Oh, she's lonely, huh? Well, hey, anytime you want to come knocking on my door, pretty lady. But yeah, like, she brings, the leg or whatever it is home of this robot guy who is staking out the class, supposed to be an inspector or whatever it is, constantly, acting all alien and coincidentally robotic. And so what is that about? Who are these people who this robot was representative of? I don't know. Hopefully we will find out in an upcoming episode. And so this episode definitely had some pros and cons. I'm fine with the language and the gore to a point. Luckily they weren't explicit with the gore stuff. I can take or leave that stuff depending on how it's done. And I think it was the perfect ratio for me to be able to stomach it. They didn't really show too much gruesome stuff. But again, the butt, the ass, really? we need to see dragon butt, probably not. I don't think it was absolutely necessary to be effectual for the story, but whatever. It was shades of Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Freddy's Revenge, or whatever it was. And I enjoyed it for the most part. Really, what really took the cake was the characterization. Once again, the characters, Ram coming to the fore, and just the little insights that we got in all of the rest of the characters. The trio of them, Charlie, April, and Tanya, had all witnessed Armitage's death at the dragon's hands, or claws, I guess you could say. And that really formed, the bond between them once again. And they reached out to, of course, Ram, who's really been dealing with the thick of it. So much so that he has to question his own sanity. And by the end, I think he's found that equilibrium again. We see him kick the ball and knock that water bottle over, cheered on by his father, the support and love of his father. And so I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments below. If you've seen episode 2 of Class, the coach with the dragon bare-ass tattoo, what you thought of it. If you enjoyed it as much as I did, if you had the sort of pros and cons, bare butt, a little bit gory and things of that nature, whatever. Love it or hate it, anything goes in the comments below. Just love having that conversation. And so, yeah, otherwise, that'll be pretty much it for me on this. Hope this video finds you well, and I'll catch you all later. Peace.